what's gonna happen. Let's see. I'm gonna check and see.
I was just listening to Katy Perry singing
Okay.
Fireworks.
Oh.
Ooh, live in.
What does it say on your end?
It says live. Oh, it says live now, I think. I thought it was counting
Yeah, I
down.
think we're
but I
live
think it was
now.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, we're live. I want to see what happens when I go to the link in our bio in Instagram. I'm like, I don't know if we know if anyone's watching. I don't know how any of this works.
Let me see.
We got a couple subscribers today. I wonder.
Yeah.
Should I take a screenshot and
yeah,
and post it?
I'm trying to see how I can do like full screen here. Let's see.
Oh yeah, we're live. My husband has us on the TV.
We're so like, what's happening? What's going on?
We're live.
This is like oh yay, people are showing up. Can you all see the chat?
No, I can't see the chat.
Okay. So there's 2 people in here. Danelia's here. Hey, what's up?
Hi. Join in our bio, right? Or in our bio. That's what I want to say. Join in our bio.
Yeah. We can't see you, but can you see Christina? I can see her.
I can't see you, Christina. I see a black screen.
Because I'm.
Is it because of the?
It's I was posting because I was doing stuff. I think I got.
Oh, because you're on your phone. Got it. Okay. So you put it in Instagram. Okay. So hi everybody.
I'm here.
It's like
in our
TV.
IG live, and I just said we're live. Yeah. Hi.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
It feels very professional.
I know. Oh, there we are.
I know, really.
Oh my God, that's so weird.
I'm good. I had like a shot of tequila right before, so I'm like, I was sweating because tequila makes me really hot.
But I almost texted you out, and I was like, "Can I drink?"
I brought my pre-made shot for.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me pour. I gotta send you. I was going to, but I didn't get around to. I gotta send you one of ours, Analily, our shot glasses.
Yeah, you guys should open up a store. I'd buy it. I'm serious.
Well, we have some of these available, and I meant to send you one last week, but I forgot. Okay, let's
right.
Salud. Woo. All right, so I wanted to, before we super dive into heavy stuff, I don't know if you all saw the questions that I put up on Instagram.
That's your jam, Renee. That's another one of your gifts, you know?
I told Christina I should have been like an entertainment reporter or like, you know. I mean, I was a journalism major, and they would say, "Oh, what kind of journalism do you want to do?" And I would always be like, pop culture, fashion. And, you know, because everybody's like, "Oh, I want to be in politics," or "I want to, you know, do like hard-hitting news." And I was like, anyway, okay. So I wanted to share some of these answers that came in because I thought some of them were cool. And we can even say what our answers would be if y'all have thought about it. So the first question was, and then we're going to get into the hard-hitting stuff of, you know, all the fun stuff. Okay.
Oh, God, where do we start? Yeah.
So I said, if you were elected president, and I thought about this because when I watched it this morning, I didn't watch the whole thing. And then when the kids got home, I sat and watched like everything. So anyway, so if you were elected president, who would you choose to sing the national anthem? So you guys think, well, I say, so somebody said Mariah. That's a good one. Someone, Danelia said, I wouldn't have anyone sing the national anthem as we know it. I would create a new one. Someone said Carla Morrison. I think this was my favorite. Snoop Dogg. And then somebody just put no. Okay, so, and I mean, this was kind of a trick question because then the next question I said, or would you just scrap it all together? And a few people said scrap it, and then someone said, or alternatively, have a guitarist riff it like Hendrix. So, what would you all do?
Oh. I mean, and this is like a dream world, right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait. Last caveat there. If you did scrap it, what song would you choose instead? So again, Danelia put an original song that she would write. Someone put "Give Me a Chance," "Give Peace a Chance" by John Lennon, and someone else said "Lift Every Voice and Sing." So, what would be your? Who would sing the national anthem, or what would be your alternative? Is this a hard question? I feel like.
Well, I feel like
if this is, go ahead, Christina.
Yeah. Well, okay, dream world. Yeah, I don't like the national anthem, but it has such sentimentality. So I do love that idea of someone like an amazing artist. Or what if they could put like a salsa or a bachata mix on the national anthem? That would be awesome. But no, my dream,
like Daddy Yankee, not Daddy Yankee, Bad Bunny.
Yeah, something like that. Aventura is like Aventura, national anthem. But no, I was thinking like Selena. I know I always go to Selena, but I'm like, I mean, this is a dream world. That'd be amazing if she were alive and like singing it, or somehow came back from the dead and sang it. I would totally love it.
Or, I mean, the best national anthem singer ever was Whitney. I mean, Whitney. If we're gonna talk about dead people, right? Like Whitney.
God,
but what would be instead of an anthem? Like what song has that much weight? And I was like, I don't know, it'd be tough. Anyway, is this one that stumped us? Any what do you think, Analily?
I had to think about it. Like, I think I would pick, like, again, Dream World, because I know Fife Dog is, like, he passed away, but it would be a Tribe Called Quest. Like, I really think that, like, alternative type of method to the national anthem, and it would be the national anthem, just because I know that alone would be controversial. So I would, that's who I would pick for sure, a Tribe Called Quest.
I feel like this is like another layer of like astrology where like what you say says so much about like your personality. Like a Tribe Called Quest, Selena. I was thinking like some sort of mariachi song, like you know, some sort of like anthem, like real, like I don't know, some mariachi song. Maybe not the anthem per se, but something like that. I think that's would be up. Oh, somebody said in the chat, Alicia Keys, something by Alicia Keys.
I was wondering, I was like, where's Alicia Keys? I've been watching it all day. I can't help myself. And I was like, where is Alicia Keys? Interesting, you know? How about America the Beautiful? Did J-Lo sing that? Did she do like, is that her little, the little
yeah,
morph?
That was
This Land is Your Land.
This Land is Your Land, which is, again, controversial because it's like, whose land, who's we, who's us, who's our.
It's like, is she Native American? Like, that'd been really cool if like a Native American got up there and started singing like This Land is.
But it also
land,
wouldn't have been like that. Would have been well. That's true. I mean, yeah, I know it's interesting. Okay,
no, it wouldn't have been.
Question that nobody answered, by the way, is what book would you take an oath on, and who would hold it?
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, I gotta say that is it because I'm not like up on my inaugurations. I don't, keep note of the inaugurations. Is it customary for the First Lady to hold the Bible or whatever? Because I saw that Dr. Jill Biden was the one holding it, so I was like, oh, that'd be cool.
And Doug did it for.
For Kamala, okay. So then maybe that is customary. But so, what do y'all think? Any what? I mean, I know what I would say, Christina. What would I say? I'm like, you gotta know what I would say.
I mean, no, wait. So, I mean, you would scrap, there's no,
What
would it be, though? I know, it wouldn't be the Bible. What would it be? Oh my God. You're not saying it would be Borderlands.
Of course. Of course. Totally Borderlands. Somebody said a feather or concha with palo santo instead of the book. That's a good one. Like let's do a limpia right here. Yeah, I would totally say Gloria and Saldua for sure. Yeah. What do you think, Anna?
I just love.
I mean, I know you wouldn't do the Bible.
I wouldn't do the Bible for sure, but I don't know what I would pick. Like, I'm trying to think of books that have changed my perspective, like the autobiography of Malcolm X. Like, I don't know.
Ooh,
you know,
that's a good one. I mean, come on, girl, you coming out with Tribe Called Quest, Malcolm X.
This is like what shaped me, though. Like, I grew up really conservative, so it's stuff like this that is like, whoa. Like it rocked my world.
Yeah, no, I think that again, that says a lot. I like that one. Let's see. Okay, next question was.
I think it would be the earth, by the way. I think for me, it would be like some kind of, it could be like literal, just like soil, you know? I think that would be like a beautiful thing or some kind of a blessing of the earth.
Okay, so the next question was, who would be your poet laureate? By the way, shout out to, what was her name?
She was amazing.
I'm blanking. It was like, was it Jessica something?
No, it was Amanda. I can look her up right now.
Yeah, look it up because totally like and I was like, man, I feel like she's holding back. Like she wants to like come out here with her.
Amanda Gorman.
Amanda Gorman.
Yeah, Amanda Gorman.
Got a shout out because that was amazing. So people answered Rupi Kaur.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And somebody else said Jessica Salgado, which I was like, that's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, thoughts on poet laureate.
Mine would be, I know her like by her Instagram handle. Oh, Kim Guerra, the brown badass bonita.
Oh, yes.
I heard her read at We All Grow, and she was really good.
Yeah.
So it would be her for sure.
That's so cool. I love this. I met
Badass Bonita at the Brujeria in Pico one time. Yeah, so nice.
Is she from that area then?
I think she must have been. I was just like, wow, you're here. That's where I got your sticker from. Those stickers, you know, like anyways.
Oh yeah, the Feminista one that
I haven't heard her read anything, but that sounds awesome. Okay.
Okay, next question was and this is really what had me thinking, because after the poet, it was, I forget what the official title is, but it was a pastor that came and like almost like did a sermon, right, and like a prayer over Biden and stuff, and so I was like, man, I was like, at first I started to think like, oh, it would be like a priest. There's a priest that like married me and baptized Cruz and stuff. I was like, no, he probably wouldn't be around by the time I became president. Like I started thinking like realistically. And then I was like, no, it wouldn't even be like a religious priest. It'd be some like bruja or something, you know, something like that. So who do you, somebody said Prince or Esoteric Esa. And I thought that too.
Okay, I can't. Yeah,
Christina.
No, just family things on this side. But Esoteric Esa, I love that throw out. I thought that was so beautiful.
I would love to have her come and do like a blessing over that shit. Any thoughts?
You know, it was beautiful to see Dolores Huerta in one of the videos. She was she read like a speech from Kennedy or something. There was like a few, and I thought, just having like an elder activist like that, like that would be an amazing blessing, right? And
I agree with the elder activist. Like I think that's the route I would go for sure.
Yeah. That's spot on. Okay. Oh, this one was, what would be the main theme of your inaugural speech? So someone put unity and acceptance for each individual. I think, I mean, again, this is our like fantasy world, right? I'd be like, my theme would be like, and fuck the system. Like it would be like something like, and I'm gonna, you know, bring this all coming down. Like, I don't know. It would be some sort of like anarchist or, you know, yeah.
I feel like in the same vein, you could be like, he could have or been like, Okay, and thank you so much. And we actually are celebrating here Kamala Harris, so let's just invite her up here to give this speech.
Oh,
because I feel like it was so interesting. All along the way, it's been Biden Harris, and then like at the very end here, it was like hashtag inauguration 2021 or hashtag Biden inaugural, and I was just like, what the f? Like, I'm here for him, but really, I'm here for them. No, I'm not here. I don't know, but I'm here for her. Like I want, like if this was all just like Harris, I'd be happier, I guess. So if he had passed the baton or kind of given, because we all know she gives much better speeches than he does, anyways, right? He could have just been like,
I mean, well, she's much younger than him, right?
Yeah, he's in his 70s and she's 52, I think.
Yeah, she's got way more energy. Let's see. Oh, okay, next question I said was, who would you name as cabinet members? I was going to be more specific, but I honestly don't even know.
Oh my gosh. Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams would be right there. Stacey Abrams would be like,
somebody put the squad.
My right-hand person.
Somebody put the squad, right? AOC, all those homegirls.
Analily,
I would want AOC. Definitely, like Stacey Abrams to me is just like someone I look up to so much. Like she is what I aspire to be as like an organizer, as a human being. Like I think it would be Stacey Abrams. It would be AOC for sure. Yeah, I feel like she was pretty genuine. You guys know my love for Beto O'Rourke. He would be in there. All right, Bernie, of course, and his Fuchi face. Like I love him. Right.
There was a meme going around about Bernie and Coco like together, and I was like, "What is happening here?"
Okay, I'm like, I don't know. I'd want to put somebody like, I don't know. I'd put some of these like influencers in there, some like real people,
like Patrice Cullors or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then I said, who would be your presidential bruja / curandera? Any thoughts on that one?
I just think I'd have so many, actually.
I would have a whole one. I'd have a whole team, a whole curandera team. Like somebody who does massages, somebody who does Reiki, a whole team for sure. Okay, last question, most important question. Who would be your presidential fashion designer / stylist?
I'm not gonna lie, Lady Gaga's outfit. That is my I think I've worn something like that, just not as fancy and expensive. But the big old like Barbie skirt.
The ballroom gown.
It was Christmas Barbie meets I don't know, what was that?
So somebody was saying that, or was asking, is that like an homage to Hunger Games? Because the Hunger Games, she wears the Mockingjay pin, and it was like this big like Lady Gaga had this big some sort of bird. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, that's
some kind of a wool military looking like sweater. I was.
Yeah. Any thoughts, or what would be your aesthetic?
I don't know. I thought I'm still in awe over Michelle Obama's outfit. Oh, yeah. She was so flawless. I was like, oh my gosh, I need that look. On a woman. I need that look. That's what I so probably her stylist. I forgot his name, but
it would, I think it would definitely have to be a person of color, and somebody who's who you want to give the spotlight to, which I think is what Michelle Obama tried to do a lot, was to really be conscious about who she was highlighting even in her fashion. Okay, so those are all the fun questions. Let's get real.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, guys.
Okay,
I'm having like technical difficulties.
Okay.
Oh no. Because I was like, Analily, tell us. Give us the D.
Break it down.
Yeah, we want to know. While she's figuring it out. I'm not sure what just happened.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear us?
I can't hear you still. Ah! Okay, hold on.
This is this is
first time.
This is totally our first time doing this. It's pretty interesting.
Renee,
yeah.
You're live today though. Super strong. I loved it. It was like, yes. And really, this is it.
I think, and what it comes from is, I think oftentimes there's this expectation, for us as like gender studies professors, and I often get the question is like, oh, do you talk politics in your class? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's what women gender studies is. It is politics. However,
personal is political.
Right. But their perception of politics is always only electoral politics. So the assumption is that somehow I keep up on all of that, like the jargon of electoral politics and senators and all of these things, which I actually, that's more like political science, right? And that's not necessarily, it's not that I don't, or I ignore it. It's that I'm not, I don't pay attention to the details of those kinds of things. And so it's like, I think sometimes I'm like defensive, like why don't I care about all those things? And I think it is because it comes from like my jadedness around like electoral politics. But Analily, you're back. So, and I saw your stories talking about your like journey to electoral politics and because coming from a conservative family. So tell us, maybe briefly that again, like how you grew up versus how you are now.
Like I as I mentioned, like I grew up really conservative. Both my parents at the time were Republican. I grew up watching like Republican debates. I remember voting was a big deal in the sense where like one parent would stay home with me while the other parent would go vote, so I would never be at home alone. But I remember that aspect of it. And then when I got to college and my parents divorced, that kind of like rocked my world a little bit, like in the like evangelical sense. And so
yeah.
So, and that also happened in 2004, which was the George Bush, John Kerry election. We were at war in Iraq. And I remember taking these courses, both in history and political science. And even though at the time I still considered myself kind of conservative, I remember hearing classmates, Republicans, speak. And I was just like, okay, they sound extremely arrogant and pompous and condescending. And I don't like this, and then learning like the history and all of that just kind of started swaying me, and of course meeting different people and just seeing, I guess, how closed-minded I was, and the growth that I needed. But I didn't get like heavily involved until Trump won, and I had a 1-year-old son. And all I could think was like, this is the world I have for him. Like, no, this is not how it's going to be. Like the change starts now, And so I didn't really know how to get involved. And then that's when a colleague of mine recommended Pod Save America. And they're huge on organizing. Like they have Vote Save America, they have Adopt a State. And so that's when I like a lot of their like podcasts are like, get involved, do more than vote, make calls, text, do whatever you can, And so of course I'm like, oh my God, I need to do whatever I can,
Yeah.
And then that's how I started getting more involved, knowing that my goal was just to get Trump out. That was always my goal. And I know other people had like they're like Bernie Sanders stands for the right things, which I totally agree with. Julian Castro was this Latinx guy. My mindset was always like, get this man out. Do not relive that night in 2016. Get him out by any means necessary. And that's always been my mindset.
Yeah.
You are actually making me remember last night I had this awful dream. It was literally a shouting match between my dad and I. He may never listen to this, but I was just like, you voted for a rapist. Like I literally was saying it over and over again. Like, and I woke up like really feeling that. Just I totally resonate. It just it felt so good to get that guy out of that. He just, and then to I was gonna. Anyways, yeah, that's so good. Actually, Renee, when you were posting your live, I was thinking about how this whole day I've been crying, and I'm not really crying, crying like I cry. So I was like, oh, okay. But it felt so good. Honestly, I just wanted to be like, Kamala Harris, I love you. Yeah. And then I wanted to still navigate all the critical things, but I was like, Renee's got that. I can just be like, oh.
Yeah. And I think that's like, I think we have to have space for both. We have to have space for the complexity of our experience and the complexity of our feelings. Like, yeah, like I was totally kind of like, not even like really going to watch the inauguration. And then I woke up this morning and I was like, oh, well, I kept getting like alerts, right? And I was like, okay, let me put it on in the car. And I straight up was, driving. I had it on my phone, like on my dashboard. And, they say first African-American, first Asian American, first woman, vice president. I was like, like all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I was having this like visceral reaction. And I was like, yeah, so it's like holding space for all the feelings. Like we're not just, one thing.
So many feelings. Mm-hmm.
And I want to say to Analily, like, I have to say that, like, I commend you because from day one, I was watching you, right? And like, you're out there campaigning, you were freaking calling people. I was like, oh my God, this girl is doing it. Cause like that kind of stuff, I could never like, I can sit up and lecture on shit all day long, but that's real, like, that's on the groundwork, and that's real tough. So tell us what that was like. What was it like to kind of So let me, a few questions and then you can go. One is, okay, so what was that experience like? And you just said you hated it. So what kept you going despite the fact that you hated it? And the Chisme that we want to know is, what has been the reaction from like family, friends, community, work, all of that?
So. And I also just want to resonate that, for your son, for your kid, I get it. I love that. I love that so much.
So yeah, that's definitely my main reason. Like I started like as I mentioned, like in my IG stories, like I supported Beto O'Rourke. I held little mini events that no one came to, right? Or like just my friends, I'm sure felt sorry for me, right? And I supported him because Pod Save America had said that he had a shot. And then as I investigated him, he seemed like a pretty genuine guy, right? And then I was like, okay, this is my shot. Again, my goal being get Trump, right? So then it took a while because I was fully invested in Beto to climb on the Joe Biden wagon.
I think it took a while for all of us,
I voted for Bernie in the primaries, and then and he won California. Yeah. But when it was obvious that Joe Biden was going to be it, I was like, okay, like this is it, right? Like this is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And then like COVID hit, and then we witnessed like live like Black people being murdered by police officers, and unfortunately it was being replayed over and over and over on our social media feeds, even though like you know, we wouldn't replay the death of a dog over and over and over again, you know, but it was there. It was prominent. And I remember just thinking like, okay, I'm not doing enough, you know, like I'm not doing enough. And all I could think was like, I put all of my energy to get like Trump out. Like that was it. Like, this is what I need to do. Right. So then I had an Instagram mom friend, her IG handle is God Was a Woman. And she posted that she was going to call Spanish speaking voters for Joe Biden. And if anyone wanted to join. And I was like, this is a sign. Like, so then that's when I started, you know, and it's hard because I want to say that out of 2 to 3 hours that you spend calling, you have genuine conversations with about 3 people.
Wow.
Yeah. You get hung up on, you get told off, you know, people tell you that it's the wrong number, but it's when you have those genuine conversations that like, that feels really good. Like, I remember helping people like, okay, where do you live? Okay, let me look up your polling site really quick. All right, this is where it is. And they're like, I can't figure it out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to text you from my personal number so you can access it, you know, because you're in that mentality that every vote matters, you know, like in these battleground states, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, okay, you know, let me just try to help you. But it's hard because it's like, I'm only reaching 3 to 4 people, right? Yeah. But I remember like the volunteers would be like, those 3 to 4 people matter, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Like, and they're telling, and those 3 to 4 people, they're telling other people, right? It is a trickle. It is. I know it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then the volunteers have this tactic where they text you and they're like, okay, you did great. Would you want to do it again? And I'm like, okay, right?
Wow.
So that's how it kind of just got started. I started doing the Joe Biden volunteering when I was on my old IG handle, Raising Espanol. And I already knew I had one foot out the door because Fernando was just speaking so much English and he didn't want to be documented anymore. And I wanted to respect his space. But I still had like a following and I wanted to use that to be able to get people motivated to vote, you know? And so once Joe Biden won, I was like, peace out. Like, I feel like I did my job, you know, and I'm going to start doing this activism more frequently and I'm not going to post my son. So that's why I left that platform and then created my new one. And I had about like 200 people move over, which I really appreciate, you know. But when you ask about community, like I went from 1,800 to 200 people.
Yeah.
You know, and
shout out your new handle, yeah.
At Analily _M.
Nice.
So, and I wanted to be real. Like, I didn't want to switch Raising Espanol to my new handle. Like, I wanted to be like, hey, this is going to be my goal now. Like, I'm done. My family, like, my mom's always been really supportive. Like, Mom, let's go to this. Like, we did a caravan for Black Lives Matter because I'm deathly scared of COVID. So I'm like, Mom, let's go to the caravan, like the car caravan. And she's like, all right, let's go. You know, my mom's always been really on board in that sense. And then like my husband, of course, always amazing support, you know. The rest of my family, they don't really talk about it with me. You know, I think they know not to, you know, especially now. My mom's a lot more outspoken. I want to say that with my family, I'm still kind of a coward.
I'm like, I don't like when you say that. I don't like when people talk bad about themselves because I don't think it's about being a coward or being what I think because behind that is very real. I'm like, here we are giving you like a like you're protecting yourself, and that's really important. And because and I say this from experience as well. I'm also in my family, people, and most of my family is, you know, progressive, I'd say, but they still don't talk to me because they see me as like radical, like I'm way on the, and so they just like, they're like, oh, just don't, don't get into it. And I've had to shut down conversations. And so then the same thing, I start to tell myself like, oh, this is where I should be doing the work. And I'm like, no, because it sucks energy from me. Then I don't have the energy to go and be there for the people who need me, like my students, like my community. Because however much I talk to, let's say some of my cousins, nothing I say is ever going to change their perspective, right? Nothing. And we can sit there and talk for hours and hours, and they're still going to think what they think, and I'm still going to think what I think, and they're going to walk away fine, and I'm going to walk away drained as fuck. And I'm going to walk away tired, and I'm going to walk away, and it's going to take me so long to like process all of those feelings. So now I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to have this conversation. And they're like, oh, you're not willing to debate? I said, no, I'm not. I'm not willing to debate. We're not going to have this conversation. And in my head, I tell myself, because I'm saving this energy for the people that need me, right? And I mean, first of all, Analily, I see you in your classroom, and I'm like, girl, I don't know how you do that, the way you teach. But I just want to validate that for you. That
thanks, Renee. I really appreciate that. It's true. Like I have read, like, you can't save everyone. Don't waste your energy. But I still like, and my husband will say this, like he thinks I hold myself to this like unreachable standard, and so that's kind of like, I'm really hard on myself.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what drives me. Like I always feel like I'm not doing enough. So what can I do next?
Yeah. I'm wanting to, yeah. I mean,
I think it's your son. I think just to talk about your son again, I feel this with my family, that it's obvious that we disagree. I still want my child to have a relationship with them. I still like, and that's because of trauma in the previous generation, where because of religion, we were really separated from our family. And I want it to be clear. I disagree, and you can still have a relationship. You're still a grandfather, you're still a grandmother, you're still an auntie. You don't get off on that. That's that's your job. That's your responsibility, but, and I don't want, I guess, I don't know. It's kind of for my kid, both that I disagree and the willingness to not constantly argue about it.
Yeah. Like you don't want him in this bubble. Yeah. Like I understand that. Like, because I want to stay in my bubble. Like, I know what you mean. Like
you're like, oh, I'm the like, and I don't, I'm the more of the like, I'm okay if you don't have a relationship. Like I mean, there's a lot of other stuff, underneath all of that. But I think as I get older, I just get so tired of trying to hold on to things that I know are not going to work, especially when there's such fundamental differences, when if I have to sit and argue with you about the basics of like, gender violence, right? Or like stuff like that. And you're gonna like argue with me about that. Like, there's no space for that. And in fact, like, I don't know. Yeah. This is a whole, it's a, it's Pandora's box, right? Like when we start to talk, and I will say that when I've been in spaces where like, even professionally, I talk about anti-racism or whatever, the number one question is, how do I handle family? How do I deal with, family like disagreements? And my thing is discernment. Is, I think you have to decide which of those relationships are worth it, and then discern how far you're going to go into certain conversations. So I think it's a balance. Like for me, it's a balance between setting very clear boundaries, right? Like if you're going to keep pushing, and I've done it, I've had friends that I'm not friends with anymore because it was never going to be like a mutual understanding, right? It was never going to happen. I was never going to feel safe. So that's that, and I think that that's okay. And then it's discerning like where I should put my effort into conversations. I tell people, look, I got 2 modes. I got quiet and I got not fucking quiet.
So I love that. I love that so much.
I'm not gonna have a small talk about this shit. We're either gonna go in all the way and you're gonna, I'm gonna sit here and give you a PowerPoint lecture, or I'm just gonna sit here and look pretty and we're not gonna talk about it. Right? Like, so what do you want? Because
I love it.
And most of the time I actually decide I'm not going to have this conversation because I know I'm not getting anywhere, or the last time I had a conversation, I said, I actually get paid to talk about these things. So I will have this conversation, but just know that you are getting free labor.
Yeah.
I love that.
I did. Yeah. I did move far away. I will say, I use distance. I use distance to create that, but that's my Gemini rising maybe too. So, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you that, Analily, because, well, one, because I did witness your like changeover of your social media platforms. And also because I'm just interested in, you are an educator, you work with kids. By the way, like any parent who has you as a teacher is so lucky.
So lucky.
But I'm also like curious, like, do parents ever see you, like follow you on social media? Like,
I went on private because we received like a memo from HR. But I think a couple of parents that follow me, but I feel like this is my private life and I'm allowing you into it. So you can't judge this. This is not how I speak in school, in class, or any of that, Like in class, obviously, like I tread super carefully, like I took today off so I could be in the moment, I took today off so I could be in the moment. But like with my kids, what I do speak to them on are definitely like anything that's an injustice, or like luckily like our language arts curriculum it's pretty woke, and it talks about like one of their pamphlets was on COVID and like the way that it's affecting Black and minority people. I mean, I know minority is not the correct word, but more than it's affecting others. And so I was just like, I was talking to my students about that, about systemic racism, but because the curriculum lend itself to it, So as soon as I saw that, I was like, hell yeah, let's run with this, And so like and honestly, all of this is like fact. This isn't political. Like these are facts.
Wait, what are facts? What is it that you mean? Yeah. I love that. And I think that it's teachers like you that are willing to, and I say this because I taught high school for a few years and I was like, no way, I can't do that. And definitely like teaching younger, everything just has its challenges. And I think that we all have callings in life. Like I do believe in that. And I think that those who teach young people, kids, it's in their DNA, and it's, and I give it all up to you all. But it's teachers like you that give me hope, because I think that we see students on the other end. So they come to college and here we are talking about things that they're hearing for the first time, and they're sitting there like, wait, what? Like, either they're like, what are you talking about? Or they're like, they knew this stuff in their bones, but they didn't have a language for it, or they haven't been validated by it. And so all of us, they're having like this existential moment in college, because yeah, exactly like you said, Christina, there's this betrayal, right? They've been told this story their whole lives, and now we're like, okay, so all of that was bullshit, and here's the real stuff. And like you said, we're just presenting facts, but it is tricky when you know, and I'm sure for you it's tricky with standards and all these other, like, you know, things that you have to contend with.
Like, my mantra for teaching has been, you know, be the teacher that I want Fernando, my son, to have. Be that teacher.
Ooh.
If Fernando were to walk into my house right now, but like in my classroom, you know, would he be proud of me?
Yeah.
Would he say, hey, that's my mom, she's awesome? You know? So I definitely try to do that, like, without a doubt, you know? And my kids love me. Like, I know that they love me, and it's mutual. I love them back with all my heart. Like, they make me so happy. I'm gonna get emotional.
Aww.
Like, I love teaching. You know, I love doing that. Like, that's my calling, you know?
Yeah.
That's definitely my calling. Like, changing the world, that's just for Fernando, you know? But it's like...
changing the world, you know, just my other hobby, you know, changing the world. That's so, yeah.
Maybe you're changing the world, like every child, every student in your class, you know, it's I mean, it's not like cold calling, but it is, I think it's even more. You're just really, it's amazing, you know? It is.
No, I feel very grateful for all the growth that I've done, you know, that like to all the people that have grown with me, like my best friend, my husband, like they loved me when I was like, you know, this evangelical conservative, and they love me now, you know, like major props to them for sure. You know, they saw me grow, and they're still by my side.
I'm like, so this whole evangelical story is so interesting. I mean, I grew up Catholic, which is its own, you know, stuff, and it definitely has its own stuff. But I do feel like evangelical is another level of like cult, like cultish. You know,
it's just a lot of guilt and shame.
Yeah,
like that's all it is. It's guilt and shame. You know, and I think that's probably why I'm the way I am. Like, I'm not doing enough, you know, or, you know, I'm sorry, you know, like it's a lot of that, you know, it's a lot of guilt.
Yeah. For sure. So what is your hope for I mean, maybe this is for all of us. What do we do now? I mean, like, what do you think is going to happen this year now that Biden's president?
$10,000 isn't enough
for student loans.
Yeah, like I owe over $50,000. You know,
girl, we owe more than that.
Yeah, like $10,000 is like a $600 stimulus check. Like, no.
Yeah, that's what I said when they're like $10,000. I was like, that's a drop in the hat. Like, what am I going to do with that? Like, that's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I think now we hold him accountable. You know, like that's what we do now. Because I do see Biden. Like, I think he has a really good heart, but I also think he's going to want to appeal to both sides. You know? And so I feel like now we hold him accountable. But it was really hard for me to see the criticism of Biden when he was the only one running against Trump, because it's like, don't do that. Like, we're going to lose votes.
Yeah.
Let's get Trump out. Like, again, that's always been like no, criticize him after. You know, but right now, like, people will not vote then. You know, that's what's going to happen. And we're going to have 2016 all over again. You know, where people were saying, like, oh, Hillary Clinton was the lesser of two evils, blah, blah, blah. And then we were effed for 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I had like, that was like really traumatic for me, like to see that. I'm like, don't do that. You know?
Yeah.
Now, do it all you want.
We gotta vote out like white supremacy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I'm wondering too, what does holding him accountable look like? Like what, you know, what I'm like, what does that even look like? I mean,
I
you know,
think like everything has to go to like Congress and like the House, Senate, and it would be contacting your House members, your Senate members, making those calls. I had never made calls before till kids were being ripped away from their parents. And that's when I started calling like the House and Congress and all of that. But like I think it would be doing stuff like that. And not just that, like you should consider running. People should consider.
Are you gonna run, Analily? Are you gonna run?
I don't think I have it in me yet.
Yet?
I can see it. Yeah, local government.
A lot of these. I mean, look at freaking Biden is like 70, right? Like we're young in politicians' age. I mean, yeah, you can be like Leslie Knope. I don't know if you ever watched Parks and Rec.
Yeah. I just handle like negative comments. Like I am very sensitive. Like when you put your poll out, like who's excited for this? And I saw that it wasn't like at 100%. I'm like, no one loves me. You know, like I am so very sensitive. So like my husband want to go vote. Like I love him.
Yeah.
So I am like, I don't know if I could deal with that. But someone was telling me that there's like staff members that are buffers and they'll hide that stuff from you. I'm like,
I mean, yeah, I think in my, like, if we're talking fantasy world, I think, what does it look like? Because, you know, like I said in my live earlier today that I am very skeptical of the power and the, like, how much does electoral politics really serve us, you know, and how much does it actually accomplish? Obviously, we've had some progress, but it's very, you know, it's very slow. And it's also, it just kind of like hides certain factions of things, right? Like Trump didn't happen just out of the blue, you know, like it's been, you know, bubbling up underneath the surface. And so again, I'm always like just questioning how much electoral politics can actually do for us. However, I think if we think about electoral politics as one part of the approach, then that's when it works, right? Where we're not solely like, we're not saying go vote and that's it, right? It's like go vote and, you know, and or call your, you know, Congress people and, right? Like we have to have this multi-pronged approach, right? It has to be, how do we you know, hold electoral politics accountable, and how do we just do basic, like showing up for our neighborhoods, showing up for our communities, right? How do we build community so that we, because, you know, and this is just an example, when we talk about like defunding police and, well, how's that going to work and how is safety? It's like, well, if we took time to get to know our neighbors and really created these strong relationships in our communities, then could we reimagine what safety looked like, right? If we actually watched out for each other versus relying on, again, the state to do that for us. So I think it's like, again, holding the state and government accountable. And in the meantime, while they're getting their shit together, you know, start to create these alternative ways of being, so that when that shit comes crumbling down, because it will eventually one day, you know, some point, then there's something else to take its place. That's what I think.
My question is, do we see big changes when it comes to the pandemic, like afoot, you think? Do you think, because I feel like 2021 is...
have lost faith in humanity regarding the pandemic. I am really scared of getting COVID. I fall under like the people who would die if I get it. You know, I'm Latinx. I'm overweight. I have asthma. Like I would be really scared to get it.
Yeah.
With that said, no one else gives an F about me. Like most people are out there living their puta lives, you know, like they are just.
What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? That's what I gotta say about that.
They're going to like Mexico and colonizing over there. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's upsetting, especially because these are the people that want their kids back in school, but at the risk of their teachers dying. Like, no.
Yeah. Well, like Christine and I, they're talking about the CSUs going back in the fall, and because educators are right next on the vaccine list, and I'm like, okay, it's one thing for us to be vaccinated, but there's all these fucking college students that are like nasty as fuck on a regular day, right? With COVID, so I'm like, with the vaccine is going to do us any good if they're spreading it amongst each other and they're not, widely vaccinated. So I'm just like, how realistic is it for us to go back, in the fall when, it's just, there's just way too many variables, I think in my head, because I'm trying to like prepare myself for the worst. In my head, I'm like, 2021 is again, like we're going to be we're gonna be in this, and I'm just kind of really, you try to create like sustainable ways of being in this mess, and so that if shit gets better, it's like, oh, it's a pleasant surprise.
I think what we need is money. Like, I think we need money. Like I don't blame restaurants or businesses or hairstylists or nail artists or any of those people that need to survive.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting shit from the government,
Yeah.
And in order for us to shut down, we need money. Paying the people to stay home. Like $600. No. Like, that's not even like my monthly loan, like student loan payment. Like, like they need money. And I think that would be more effective. But that's not to say that people are still being careless and selfish. In other areas. But I don't judge the business owners, the people who need to survive and keep going to work and all of that, There's two different aspects of people, But you don't have to go to a wedding in Mexico.
We don't have to go to Christmas. Like it was interesting how, and it was hard. It was hard as fuck to not see my family on Christmas, not even be with my brother. I said it was the first time in my entire life that I was not with my brother on Christmas morning, and it hurt like hell. But I was like, okay, in my head, I was like, it's 1 year. We have the rest of our lives. It's 1 year to kind of give up. But I mean, believe me, I was like, I've been seeing, especially in the summer, when I saw people just like living it up, and I was like, here I am, like not doing anything. Right. It was really hard to kind of,
That's been the hardest part, especially like on social media when you see like the people who have died again. Most of the people that I see that have died have been overweight, and it's really hard because like the comments I see are like, well, if they would have like lost weight, or if they would have, like, I don't deserve to die just because I'm
fat phobia.
Yeah, and that is wrapped up in some. I mean, I'm like, is it overweight or is it the fat phobia of the medical industry? Like, and the ways that, because, and that's the thing. Like, I've talked to people and I said, oh yeah, I've known somebody that has been sick, and their first question is always like, oh, do they have underlying health issues? And I'm like, no, they don't. And so because then it's like, oh, well, you know what I mean? Then it kind of relieves us of accountability, right? Like, oh, well, then that's on them. And it's like, no, sorry, but I don't know. Or even in the beginning when they're saying, well, if you're more vulnerable, then then stay home and let everybody else. I'm like, well, what the fuck is that shit, right? Like, totally. Like, okay, But I think, I don't know, you have a lot more faith in humanity. I don't know if I do. Actually, no, I do. I do have faith in humanity, but no, maybe not humanity. I have faith in the earth. I have faith in spirituality. Like I have faith in a higher being and a higher purpose. But people,
I think it's because I see my students and I see like, you know, like obviously we see our kids and we think like they're perfect. They're going to be great human beings, right? But like when I see my students, I have 33 of them, you know, and each year I have like that amount. I definitely see the good. I see the hope, the future, and I tell them that all the time. Like I always tell them, like I'm telling you these things because I want you to make a better world for my son. You know, you're gonna grow up and you're gonna make a better world for my son, for all these kids. You know, that's what you're gonna do. You know, and I do, like when I talk to my kids, when I see my students, like I mean, like I'm agnostic, but like I think the comparison would be like I see God when I see my kids.
So beautiful.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like, and I think when you say humanity, that's a really good reminder of like when I see my students, you know, I get a new batch of 18 to like 25-year-olds maybe every semester, and I absolutely see the hope in them. I tell them, I'm like, y'all have the energy to be out there on the street, so y'all need to go and do your, you know, put in your time. But I think you're right. I think that the hope is in young people. That's where I see it, because and what makes me sad and what kind of gives me that jadedness is when I see old people, maybe not old people, whoever our age, dismissing young people, right? Oh God, these millennials or what's the new generation Z or whatever, Gen Z. They're like, oh, these, you know, and I'm like, first of all, you were young at some point and they dismissed your ass, right? Like, and I just like, I don't believe that. I think that young people are the hope. And, you know, I think about my kids too, and okay, I'm like, no, they might still be awake and hear me. But I think about like the way that we're raising our kids. Imagine when they become, you know, adults, the kinds of kinds of language that they'll have access to, and the kinds of conversations that they'll be able to have. You know, I'm like, oh my
Renee,
God.
I swear to God, I said they'll have access to at the same time in my brain as you did. And I was like, we are becoming more in sync. We're just like syncing up. So awesome.
Yeah. I think that's definitely, you're right. That's where the hope lies, is in young people. I think I just get scared when I see people like these anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers and anti-conservative. Like that's where I really get a little like, oh fuck, we're still fighting that fight. Like we're still doing that. Like we're still
and like that's the thing, like that comes with like organizing and making calls and stuff. It's like it prepares you on how to speak to like different people. So while I want to say like, you know, F off, I'm just like, okay, like I can see where you're coming from. However, you know.
Woo, it's a lesson in diplomacy. Oh
yeah, it's definitely like being able to speak to people, because you want to be able to reach out to different types of people, you know. And mind you, I was calling Spanish voters, so I would just be like, okay, entiendo su razón, pero lo que yo le estoy tratando de explicar es, you know, and it's just like, it's definitely like, okay, you know, and that's hard. That's hard, and that's kind of what has helped me, like when people come, like obviously at home, I'm just like texting my husband, like, you know what this person told me, you know? You know, because you definitely want to be able to
get through
on your side.
Yeah.
You want people on your side.
We could learn a lot from you, I think.
You are so patient. I just think of you as like such a patient person. You must be patient with your students. The fact that you're patient with these people.
I'm like, in 2016, after the election, I went the opposite way because I used to be much more diplomatic and much more like in my classes. Sometimes I would skirt around electoral politics as much as I talked about everything else. And then after 2016, I was like, fuck that shit. Fuck Trump. And I was just very much more unapologetic in my classrooms. And I came at it from the perspective of, you don't have to, this is where critical thinking comes into play, right? Like, I'm going to be who I'm going to be and I'm going to have my perspective. It doesn't mean it has to be your perspective. Just because I'm the professor and you're the student doesn't mean you have to believe everything and agree with everything that I say. I'm going to challenge you and I'm going to push you to, to kind of out of your comfort zone. But by all means, I had a student, and I've told this story a million times, but I had a student, it was day one, okay, of my women's history class, day one. And I try to be I try to be the most diplomatic on day one, right?
I love it. I try to not be. I try to be like, you don't want to be here. You don't like
you're trying to like weed out the people.
Yeah.
And so I had a student come up to me after day one, and she says, so I voted for Trump. Do you think this is a good class for me to take? And I was like, and in my head, I just started laughing because I was like, well, what the fuck do you think, bitch? Like, and I just kind of smiled and I said, that's up to you. I welcome all people in my class, and but I'm also very unapologetic about how I feel. But that's your decision if you feel comfortable. And I'm never going to single you out. Like, I was really just trying to be like, this is on you. In my head, I was like, oh, I don't know who you are. I got my eye on you. And it was really interesting because she stayed in the class, and it's a women's history class. And yeah, she stayed in the class, and she was there every day, and she contributed to the conversation every day. And so every time she rose her hand, I was like, anyone else? However, she never said anything that was in opposition. In fact, because we would share experience,
young, right?
And so, and I never said it, but in my head, I was like, do you really think that you know what I mean? I never said it to her face, but I was like, it seems like she's voting against her own interests, because everything she said was very feminist, right? It was very contrary to everything that Trump stood for. So I hope that it was an eye opener for her, to kind of realize that. I don't know. It was an interesting semester. And then I think it was that same semester. Remember, Christina, I told you I got this evaluation and basically called me a communist feminist. And that all I do is indoctrinate my students into being feminists. Yeah, and I was like, I mean, she wrote a whole paper about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was a whole paper, and it was like, I mean, it was like, it ripped me to shreds. But then it's like, it totally talked shit about everything. And then it said, but the professor was cool.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I remember reading it, and I literally pushed the computer away from me, and I was like, and I walked away, and I left the window open for a few days, and I just sat on it, and I went back, and I just didn't respond to anything. I gave her a grade, and that was it. But I was like, all right, that's interesting. So the Trump chick, was cool, and this other person was, it was it's interesting. It's, you know, but anyway. Anything else? Anything else?
Closing thoughts.
Did anyone have any questions in like the comments? I mean, I
can't. There was somebody said in relation to what book they would swear on, the 4 Agreements.
Oh, okay.
When we were talking about all the emotion for the day, Carolina, who was here, said same, so much emotion. So Lisa said, I can so relate. When we're talking about like having issues with family. It feels like a choice of losing a piece of myself or losing family. But no matter what, even if I stay, it's a feeling of loss or grief of the relationship changing. Yes.
Real.
Yes.
That's real.
And then I did put in your Instagram handle. So
yay!
Okay. Any final thoughts? Anything we want to leave? What are our words of wisdom as we go into this new presidency?
Mine is definitely like, we still have work to do. You know, we still have work to do. Like, we're still gonna organize. Like, and I know we're ending, but just real quick, like, I was really torn when Gavin Newsom announced that, and I forgot his name, and I should know his name, the Latino senator to replace Kamala. And it was like, there are 0 Black senators, you know, Black women senators. And it was like, okay, I'm really mixed about this, you know, like, yay, a Latino, you know, this is great. But at the same time, it's like, no, we don't have a Black woman senator. And it's like, why can't we have both? Like, why is it so hard? You know?
Why are we like scrapping for, you know, like
So we have work to do.
Yeah.
We have work to do.
I love that. Christina, what's your words of wisdom for this new presidency?
I did see that Patrisse Cullors, you know, and BLM was just talking about how they're gonna move forward, and you know, when you talk about your students, or we talk about our students, and you know, even if when they're 18 or 20, I mean, some older, they're just still like little imprints of their parents, you know, for such a long time. I really want to give, you know, our children and more children space to be coming to their own sooner, right? It just got me thinking about it, because it got me thinking about Kamala Harris and the work that she, you know, did in California, and how it's just, there's a lot of concerns, and in the end, it's, you know, work that she's done that's kind of gone against herself or her community or her family, you know, like, how can we draw her into, I don't know. It's not like Beyonce, where she suddenly was like, or people were like, whoa, Beyonce's Black, you know, or something like that. Like, it's not like Kamala Harris hasn't ever identified as a person of color, but she's just distanced herself, and maybe class or education, but maybe like really getting her to like draw near, you know, come closer to, that's what I got. What about you, Renee?
I think that my hope, and this is coming off of 2020 and the shit show that it was, that because at the beginning when everything started to go down, and I started to see people's true colors, you know, and I was so like disillusioned, and I was like, okay, now I know where I stand. And then it was this moment of like, fuck, we're really headed down this ugly path. And so I had to figure out a way to find the light in all of the darkness. And so I think my light is realizing that, is, like I said earlier, like, government is not going to save us. And so I'm not going to keep imagining liberation as a utopic future. I want to start living and creating the systems of liberation in the here and now. So I want to show up for my community from that perspective. I want to and I think that's kind of the work that Christine and I are trying to do, is like, how can we create how can we as educators, as professors, create spaces outside of the university that still give all the information and knowledge that we share in the university, but do it outside of that institution in a community setting, so that we're creating these new structures that do that same work, but not within these institutions that are not truly serving us. So I want to just show up for my community in whatever that means and whatever that evolves into, into the future, and really just imagine, possibilities.
And show up as our full selves too, right? I
Yes.
love it, Renee.
Yes.
I love this plug. I love it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah. We our last little plug is Writing to Our Ancestors course. I'm like, I always got to remember the website, lasdoctoras.net/writing to our ancestors. We start in like a week and a half. January 31st.
10 days.
So
yes,
you can all of the information there.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It was such an honor, and I know that electoral politics are not your guys' cup of tea. And it's my hydration for the day. In the morning, that's the first thing I do is check my Twitter. Okay, what's going on in the political world, So I really, really appreciate you giving me the space.
You know what?
I can't hear you, Renee. I think you're frozen.
Oh, Renee froze. I feel like she was going to say something like, yeah, you do you. You're amazing. you check Twitter. You get into politics. You do it. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, Renee, come back.
I'm like, another shot before she comes back. No. I love it. Her computer does this, or her Wi-Fi every now and then, where mine is so slow. But anyways.
And I think it's on hers, right? I can't. Oh, she left.
But she'll come back. She'll come back, probably.
I wonder if she's having trouble. We could just call it. We were already saying goodbye.
Right there at the end. I know. I can imagine she'll be disappointed, but she'll understand. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thank you.
It was so lovely having you as our guest. Yes, thank you for everyone who tuned in or who is going to tune in. Thank you for your work, Analily. Thank you for joining us in this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wi-Fi is totally down. She just texted.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right. Bye.
Talk to you soon. New Chisme session coming.